We have two sisters here tonight. Are you from Pro Ecclesia Sancta? Please stand for a moment. Let's welcome these sisters who are with us tonight. And they look very young and beautifully joyful in the Holy Spirit, so they are with the community at St. Mark's, the fathers and brothers that are already there, so Pro Ecclesia Sancta, we're happy you're here. Main question tonight, main word of encouragement, choose your dance partner carefully. All right? Choose your dance partner carefully. Now, I don't know what your favorite dance is. Maybe you like the waltz, or maybe you like the cha-cha. I remember once dancing at a wedding reception before I was in seminary and priesthood, and we're going around a dance line, and guys and girls just line up like 30 of you, and then whoever you ended up with, suddenly you faced each other at the end, and you had to dance something down the middle together, and the priest actually entered the line, which sort of startled me, but when he came around, he did the worm on the floor, which was kind of bizarre, right? Well, in that sort of setting, you can't necessarily choose your partner because it just ends up by chance. But I said to you, choose your partner carefully. And what does that mean? Well, if you had a lineup and say, well, gosh, I could choose from faith, or I could choose from hope, or I could choose from courage, or I could choose from temptation. Let's just say that they're all lined up there and you had your choice, guy or girl. And you say, well, of course, you're going to want to choose to dance with faith and hope and with courage, but not with temptation, right? Don't dance with temptation. That's the point. Don't dance with temptation. And Jesus takes it very seriously. So he says, if your eye causes you to sin, pluck it out. Now, would you say, Jesus, what are you talking about? That is like beyond hyperbole. I'm out of here. Well, if your hand chooses you, cut it off. Now, Jesus doesn't want you to cut your eye out, doesn't want you to cut your hand out. But he's saying something very serious about not dancing with temptation. So when do we dance with temptation? Well, maybe we're on a computer and those little pop-up ads on the side coming at us. And we kind of turn to the right, start looking, and then we want to click on it. We're dancing with temptation, aren't we? So how can we not dance with temptation there? Or maybe we're sitting in the cafeteria and we overhear a conversation next to us that's starting to talk about certain classmates, and we kind of lean left and say, oh yeah, I want to get into that juicy little gossip. Dancing with temptation. And so today, Jesus is saying, take no chances. In fact, God would go this far. God would allow suffering to avoid dancing with temptation. He would allow even great suffering. Now, none of us wants to suffer. We don't want those we love to suffer. But sometimes that is the gift that's needed. Now, I was reading earlier about Saint Kateri Tekakwitha, who is Indian saint, American saint, 24 years old, died. When she was young, she contracted smallpox from visitors from Europe, and that put many pockmarks on her face. Now, none of us would want to live with that, right? But for her, there came a blessing. She lived in a village that was filled with debauchery and violence. She herself was taken captive at one time, her parents, and saved. Her mother was captive and saved by her father. And she's living in this, but somehow she was able to be separate. She was able to be separate. That suffering, which no one would want for her, was in the end a kind of protection. St. Ignatius of Loyola wanted to be a great soldier. He wanted to sweep the queen off her feet, come in and save her, knight in shining army. Well, he got hit by a cannonball, and his leg had to be reset twice. Now, back then, they didn't have anesthesia. The best that they had was whiskey. And then you'd put a cloth between your teeth and bite it so you don't chop your teeth down. Well, for his whole life, he walked with a limp. You say, well, you can't do the 40-yard dash anymore. You can't do the things you wanted to do. But there's something in that made him very holy. Something in it. And maybe you have a little cross here tonight, I don't know. But one thing I do know is we're all tempted to dance with temptation. And Jesus is saying, be vigilant. Don't allow the near occasion. Think in advance and say, I won't go there. I create this boundary.